Look at this tiny gap of water. It's only 21 miles wide, smaller than most cities. You could almost see across it, and yet this little strip of sea can shut down the whole world's economy in a single day. I couldn't believe that. So I looked closer, and what I found was scary. Because for 50 years, everyone knew this was the most dangerous water on Earth, and instead of staying away from it, the world leaned on it harder and harder. In 2026, it finally blew up. This is the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow gap between Iran and Oman, the only door out of the Persian Gulf. At its tightest, the lane ships can actually use is about 2 miles wide, just 2. And every single day, 20 million barrels of oil squeeze through that gap. That's about 1/5 of all the oil the world uses, every day. Now here's the scary part. There is no other way out. The big oil countries, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, the UAE, pull almost all their money out of the ground as oil, and nearly all of it has to sail through this one tiny crack. There are a few pipelines that go around it, but they carry almost nothing, nowhere near enough. So the whole modern world, every truck, every plane, the food on your table, quietly depends on one thing, that these ships keep moving. And for years, they always did. That's how something this fragile becomes invisible. Now here's the part that really got me. Iran sits along the entire top edge of this strait, the whole coast. So the one country most at war with the West has been sitting with its hand on the world's oil valve this whole time. And everyone knew. Experts wrote reports. Armies ran war games. The Strait of Hormuz became code for the thing that could set the world on fire. And knowing all of that, the world still pushed 1/5 of its oil through it. Why? Because it was cheap, because it worked, because the danger felt far away. Here's why nobody worried. Iran had threatened to close this strait for decades. Every time there was tension, they warned everyone, and every time, nothing happened. They backed down. So the world stopped believing them. It became background noise, a bluff nobody bothered to check. But that's the danger with a bluff. It works, right up until it's real. On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched an air war against Iran. And Iran finally used the one weapon it had been holding for 50 years. It closed the strait, not with a paper or a signature, with drones, with missiles, with small boats attacking oil tankers in the dark, with mines dropped quietly into the water. And here's the clever, terrifying part. You don't have to sink every ship, you just have to make 1 or 2 burn. Suddenly, no captain wants to sail, no company will insure the ships, and the traffic stops on its own. The gap closes itself, and the second it closed, the whole world felt it at the same time. Around 10 million barrels of oil a day, gone. Just wiped off the map. The head of the world's energy agency called it the biggest energy threat in history. His exact words, the price of oil shot past $100 a barrel for the first time in 4 years, then 110. It peaked at 126. And that's not just a number on a screen. That's the gas in your car. That's your groceries. That's the price of moving everything, all going up at once. Energy prices for the year jumped about 24%. People looked for something to compare it to. The closest match was the famous 1973 oil crisis, the one that shook the whole world. This one was bigger, about 3 times bigger. But here's the twist most people missed. The oil going through Hormuz doesn't mostly go to the west anymore. 84% of it heads to Asia. 1/3 of China's oil comes through this one strait. So the war started on the western side of the water. But most of the pain landed in China, in Japan, in India. That's what a choke point really is. One tiny gap. And when someone squeezes it, the whole world shakes at once. Even the countries that had nothing to do with the fight. Everyone was standing on the same trapdoor. Most of them never knew it was there. Now, there's a ceasefire. Sort of. The fighting mostly stopped in April. In June, the 2 leaders signed a deal to end the war and let the ships flow again. And just days later, an Iranian drone hit a container ship in the strait anyway, a ship called the Ever Lovely. The first strike before the ink was even dry. Because here's the truth, no peace deal can fix. A deal can't move the geography. That water is still 21 miles wide. Iran still sits along the whole top coast, and the world still hasn't built another way out. So I started this thinking the story was about a war. It's not. The war was just the moment the truth walked into the room. The real story is that we knew. For 50 years, we knew a fifth of the world's oil sailed through the most dangerous water on Earth, controlled by a country we could never trust. And every single time, we picked the cheap option and looked away. A choke point was never really about water. It's about depending on something you can't control. In 2026, someone finally shut the door. And here's the part that should keep you up at night. That strait is open again today, only because Iran is allowing it to be. That's not safety. That's permission.